Hi there, this is Coach Noreen, and I am sharing with you today's feature article in the daily edition of our Parental Alien newspaper. It is posted every day on Twitter at PAS Mentor. Please follow, and you can actually get a copy of the paper. Let's take a look at what today's feature article has. Today's feature article for March 9th, 2009 includes an article by Kelly and Napland, a law firm in White Plains, New York. And if you live in the city, that's upstate New York. If you live up in what we call the real upstate New York, this would be a downstate law firm. But I digress. Let's take a look at today's article. The title of today's article is Parental Alienation or Child Abuse in Overview. It does include a very interesting read. There's some great nuggets in here. Most importantly is a link to Children's Bill of Rights in divorce, and that's actually where I want us to focus on. But let's take a look at the article first. Parental alienation and child abuse are two of the toughest issues faced by courts in resolving custody disputes. Here's what I found while surveying parents' opinions and stories on Twitter, news sites, and custody threads. There is a large body of parents who view the court process for resolving custody issues as a sham. Most are mothers whose custody of their children has been taken away in court. Often their ex-husband has returned after a period of absence from their child's lives, and they've succeeded in reversing custody orders. Many are survivors of domestic violence or have witnessed the abuse of their children. They have seen their children's fathers claim parental alienation and get partial or full custody of children who may not want to live with them. And I find that paragraph interesting coming from the law firm, their point of view, and it's interesting in talking to and working with target parents, what their point of view is. There's some differences there. Right? There is another group of parents who denounce family courts across the country. Some lost primary physical custody of their children because they moved out of the house when their marriage ended. Courts overwhelmingly maintain the status quo, meaning the way things are. When custody cases get before a judge, so if the children are living with the mother at the time, they stay there, and the father or the other parent gets visitation. These fathers feel that courts are biased in favor of mothers, giving mothers physical custody unless there is a compelling reason not to. Fathers may get their traditional Wednesday nights and every other weekend, far less than the equal 50-50. Some parents in this second group have gotten more visitation or primary custody of their children by claiming they are victims of parental alienation. Parental alienation happens when one parent turns a child against the other. A Children's Bill of Rights is now included in most parenting agreements. We're going to transition to that soon. I'm not sure about your custody cases if you're listening to this. I know in my custody, nothing like this ever came up. I think it is so important to get the message out there. You negotiate stuff, negotiate the lamp, the car, the quilt. Do not negotiate children. Mediate for your shared parenting. So this Children's Bill of Rights, apparently, according to this attorney writing the article, is included in most agreements. It lists alienating behaviors such as using the child as a pawn, telling a child the other parent doesn't love him or her, bad-mouthing the other parent, sharing unnecessary details about the divorce with a child, and asking a child to choose between his or her parents. The parent with primary physical custody is more likely to be charged with parental alienation. This is especially true if he or she refuses to allow the other parent visitation or tells a court that the child does not want to be with the non-custodial parent. And there's accusations from, again, working and talking with target parents. It is an incredible uphill battle to not only make the accusation, but then the burden of proof ends up resting on the shoulders of the victim, of the target parent in this dynamic. And many target parents will tell you the more they try in court to talk about the issues, to get equal parenting, the other parent ends up really pulling out some pretty extreme measures to win the battle, because they do see children as pawns and as a possession, and there needs to be a winner and a loser. And that type of personality disorder and mindset really works nicely in our family court system, because like a criminal court, there's got to be a winner and a loser as well. So this article goes on. There's a section, is there a good reason the parent and child are estranged? And remember, alienation and estrangement are two very different topics, two very different vocabulary words. And estrangement is you get up, you walk away and not return again. Alienation is when the other parent uses lies and manipulation techniques to erase the other parent from the lives of their children. And they're not the same thing. But what I find interesting further down here, that it talks about mental illness for a root cause of the estrangement. And when there is no evidence of abuse, that seems to be the number one tactic on the smear campaign against the target parent. The alienator will use the word crazy, throw that word crazy out there, and that's the one that they'll try to make stick at the most. They'll stick against a target parent to keep them away from the kids. There's also, in some instances, especially especially since I've seen it as the custody heats up, as the child gets older, the alienator is really trying to pull out all stops. I have seen on more than one occasion the child being put up to make false claims of sexual abuse, which then DCF gets involved, the school's involved, there's additional court dates, hearings, and again, it's all part of the smear campaign. And these are the little nuggets that unfortunately happen because where in criminal case, you have to put evidence in, just hardcore evidence. With family court, you can just go with hearsay. Abusive parents often get custody of their children, which, of course, we know the alienator, they are the abuser. They use manipulation tactics. There is the power and control wheel. If you've never seen that, the power and control wheel is used to talk about and learn about domestic violence. Domestic violence isn't just walking around with a black eye. There's many other ways that abuse occurs, and that power and control wheel is one of them. I'll put a link in the bottom of the notes so you can have access to the power and control wheel. And let's see. There's one here down a little bit further. Family courts need domestic violence experts in a custody case. And absolutely, there needs to be training in the courts, especially when there's children involved, especially if a court is going to not award 50-50 shared custody. This piece right here needs to be known, understood, and there needs to be training on this. Okay, and here, the Columbia Law Review warns that the facts of a case have less influence on the final custody and visitation arrangements than the custody evaluator's understanding of domestic violence. So, knowledge is power. I got to tell you that right here, this word visitation, that just is one of those words that we need to look at changing our vocabulary. Visitation is insinuating that there's an outsider coming in to spend a little bit of time and then they're leaving. A visitor. They're not a visitor. This is a parent. Shared parenting, co-parenting. It's custody and visitation. I don't like this vocabulary. And I hope we can change this one day. Okay? And many states have laws that say judges should consider a child's safety before anything else when awarding custody. But what is fascinating is when judges say meet with children or listen and watch the back and forth of the parents, what's happening is they're looking at what's in the best interest of children, they say. But the truth is, there is a gap of knowledge and understanding of alienation, alienating behaviors, and judges are switching between criminal trials, civil trials, family court. They're just getting through their docket every day. And what you see at face value isn't necessarily what's happening, and you have to peel back the onion and get a little bit more towards the core of what is happening and what is the root issue. And it should be standard practice for shared parenting, 50-50. Okay, so let's go over here to this Children's Bill of Rights in divorce. I like this. Children's Bill of Rights. The Children's Bill of Rights for Children of Divorce, it's been around for a while. Many researchers and other professionals include it in their work. And they don't know who the original author is. The bottom line is, right here, the point, however, is that even in divorce, adults still have responsibilities to fulfill for their children. Children of divorce have little to no power. They must live with the decisions that their parents make for them. Believing in and following this basic Bill of Rights for your children will go a long way toward helping them successfully deal with your decision to divorce. So let's take a look at these Bill of Rights. 1, I have the right to love and be loved by both of my parents without guilt, pressure, disapproval, or rejection. I have the right to be protected from my parents' anger. I have the right to be kept out of the middle of my parents' conflict, including the right not to pick sides, carry messages, or hear complaints about the other parent. So when parents are trying to sort, pick up, drop off even, sometimes they'll just default and go through the child. We need to rise above that for our child and communicate directly. I have the right to have a regular daily and weekly routine, one that is not filled with unpredictable disruptions, chaos, or unpleasant surprises. I have the right to not have to choose between my parents. It is my right not to be expected to choose with whom I will live. Having to make this kind of choice will always hurt someone and therefore me. I have this right even when I am a teenager. I can never choose between my parents. Thank you very much. I have the right not to be responsible for the emotional needs of my parents. Sometimes in alienating dynamics, you're going to see spousification or parentification occur with the children. I have the right to know well in advance about any major changes that will affect my life. I have the right to reasonable financial support from my parents. I have the right to appropriately express my feelings to my parents and expect that they will listen to me. I have the right to not be expected to make adult decisions. I have the right to remain a child and not replace a parent in my duties or to act as an adult companion, personal friend, or comforter to my parents. I have the right to like and love as many people, like step parents and other relatives and extended family, as I want to go as I want to without guilt and without being made to feel disloyal. I have the right to a life as close as possible to what I would have if had my parents stayed married to each other. Think about your own children and what their Bill of Rights might include. You might want to take time to write it out so it can be fresh in your mind as you continue on your journey of parenting after divorce. I'd like to thank you for listening to today's article. The links will be below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Thank you. Have a good day.